Stop laughing at me, internet. Here is the computer. It's located in the silver bag. 2-inch lift coil conversion kit for... Hello, my Rover friends, and welcome to the Lucky 8 channel. Today in this very, very hot shop, how come Buffalo only has 2 temperatures? Freeze myself to the floor, or I'm going to melt. Anyways, I digress. This video, I'm going to show you how to install a Terra Firma coil kit for your LR3, LR4, and Range Rover Sport. The computers are slightly different, but the basic install is the same to get these coils in your car. For this particular video, we are using the 2-inch lifted Terra Firma ones, but if you got standard height, it's the same thing. Oh my God, these are heavy. Okay, my friends, we're gonna cue the intro, and I'll meet you back here with the car in the air. With the car up in the air, we're gonna take a look at this air strut. I'm gonna show you the 3 nuts that have to come off the top and the 1 large bolt that holds the bottom in. And we're also gonna take a look at this particular strut because the Smithsonian wants it. Jesus, original equipment? My God, look at this air strut. And believe it or not, this side still held air. All right, at the top, you're gonna see 1 large nut in the center that's not to be worried about. You've got these 15 mils, there's 1 way in the back. We're gonna get that from the top, and the 2 right here. We'll get those off, and then down here, it is a 22 on one side. Hold on, guys, and then a 24. I pull those off first since we're just dropping the strut down, we don't care about it, and then we'll let the airline hold the damper when it drops. All right, like I said, I use a little speed ratchet wrench up here and just start taking them out. This is what the nut's gonna look like, and like I said earlier, it is a 15 mil. We're gonna take 1, 2 off. We're gonna then go to the top and reach down to get the 1 in the back. You can struggle with a little mini wrench. I find it easier to disassemble whatever's in the way up top. But before I do that, we're gonna pull that bottom bolt. All right, this is the bolt I'm talking about on the lower. It is a 22, and on the other side is a 24. You're gonna need a deep socket for that. Looks like that. That way the bolt can come through. Let's swing over. Hang on, guys, you're gonna get dizzy. I'm getting dizzy just looking at it. All right, and then there's the, that's why you need a deep socket. All right, my friends, the honest truth now. This is a Southern truck, and I try to only buy them because of things like this. The bolt right here is notorious for rusting inside the strut. So this one's gonna fall apart, no big deal, because it's a Southern car, but any of these Eastern Salt City cars, they're rotted. And what you need to do is get your Sawzall, paintbrush in my case, in between here and chop the bolt off on both sides. It's the only way to do it. Don't go crazy, just get a fresh couple blades, take your time, try not to damage the control arm, and you'll have it out. All right, looking down, we'll back you up. Right here's the engine bay on the Disco 4. You look down here, you can see the top of the, it's right there. Let's see if I can get a better focus for you guys. Sorry about the horrible camera stuff. There it is. There it is, that little rusty bolt, that nut rather. That's what we're going to take out. It's way easier that way. I find it much easier to move the few things out of the way up top. Then you can just get a 15 mil socket on an extension and drop it down. The air strut's gonna fall down. It's gonna be held on by the airline, but you can chop the airline now up top or down there if you like, and just let it hit the floor. We'll have this out in a jiffy. Next up, we're just going to put in the coil Now, pay attention, it only aligns one way. You want to make sure that you're not putting it in crooked. That bolt has to go through the bottom there. Oh, I should have ate my Wheaties. Stop laughing at me, internet. You're watching an old man struggle. That's not nice. All right, with the nut on top, it'll take all the weight off. At this point, I'm gonna put the lower bolt in. That's constantly a struggle, but at least it moves free up top. Then we'll tighten all the bolts down and this will be done. All right, that's what we're trying to align. I use a little tip in there to kind of pry up like so. The other thing you can do is send a screwdriver through the other side, get it lined up, jammed in like so. Once it's in position, I run it in with the impact gun, but you can tap it in with a hammer. Just be careful if you tap with a hammer, you don't mess up the threads or you're gonna need a new bolt. With the bottom bolt in place now, we're just gonna put the 3 nuts on the top. We already did that first one. Catch the second one. On this particular car, there's a little heat shield bracket that you gotta align. It's kind of a pain, I'm not gonna lie, but there you go. And tighten that down. I reach in and put the other nut on the back, but then from the top, use the extension like you use to pull it out to tighten it down. All right, that is in. Let's move to the back. And if my memory serves me, the back's actually a lot easier. One of the bolts is hard to get at the top, but nothing like the struggle that we had here. So I'm gonna pull off the rear tires and we'll get this job done. Onto the back, it's pretty much the same as the front. We've got the very large bolt on the bottom, 22, 24, and then 3 nuts on the top with the airline. For this one, I just chop the airline right away and I work on the bolts up top. I leave one in before I pull the bottom one, which is gonna be the nut way in the back. You can get in there, you're gonna get dirty. I don't like getting dirty either, but just the way it is. Struggle with that last one, but pretty easy. Everything's way more accessible compared to the front. Let's get to work. All right, I'm off the struggle bus. Sometimes they just pop in. I just could not get that thing to align. Really not the component's fault, more the installer's fault. Hopefully you have an easier time. I leave the only nut on the far one, the inner one, the one that we struggle with, so that the spring and shock will swing like this. I'm gonna then put the lower bolt in with some movement in it. Makes it way easier. If you bolt those all together, it pushes the spring out. That's no fun. With the lower bolt in, then we can start to tighten everything up. This job is almost done. I'm gonna get this in and then we'll have a look. Okay, on to the wiring harness adapter portion. The goal is to plug this in, ground this one, and gain power with this one. Really not a big deal. The hardest part is getting all the little trim pieces off, which is what I'm gonna show you now. All right, the first thing we need to do is get this trim piece up. I'm using this little pry tool. Also, I'll admit, I've already popped everything off to make it easier for the video. There's a bunch of little metal clips in here. I start on the back side and I just work my way through until they're loose. Let's see. You can see the little clips, they go right here. Sometimes they stick in the plastic. You're gonna wanna pull those out and reattach them to the upper plastic portion so they snap in. After that, I'm gonna bring the camera in. We gotta work on the dead pedal to free that up so you can get the 10 mils that are in there out. Like I said, it's a little bit of a tedious process, but nothing horrible. Here's the dead pedal I was talking about. I just use a little pocket knife and I kind of pry open this plastic. It's just a pressure fit. Snaps in place, not a big deal, just like so. Set that aside. Inside here are two 10 mil headed nuts. You want to remove those. They're kind of deep down in there. This one's already off, but that's what it looks like. And sometimes this one on the bottom gets rusty and you end up snapping it. Not a big deal. With the nuts out of the way, you'll be able to kind of wiggle this out like so. That's where they bolt to. Set that aside. Next up is this little Torx. Let's take a closer look at it right here. That is held in with a, looking at my ratchet now, T20. Just undo that and then the handle will pop off. The hardest part of the trim panels is this one. There's little plastic clips that hold it in back here. You reach in and you kind of pop them free, wiggle it out. That's what the clips look like. It's just a matter of getting in there and getting them free. Set that aside. And then we need to take off this upper piece here. This little plastic trim piece right where your OBD2 port is. It's held on with two like half-turn Phillips screws like so. Over there and one right here. Drop those down. Another tricky bit is, let's turn the camera here a second. Right here, there's a little plastic clip that you got to get free. That one sometimes can be extremely difficult. Once that's free, move it down. With it down, you're going to notice there's a little wire here that's for your foot lamp. Sticks in like so. We're just going to pop it free, get this out of the way. Now that all the plastic pieces are out of the way, we're gonna stick our heads in there. It's gonna be hard to get on film, but you'll be able to see it with a flashlight. Right here is the suspension computer. We're looking for the white connector, which is the one all the way to the left. As you're looking for it, just kind of reach up there, press it with your thumb, and bring it down. All right, try to picture the computer. It's sitting right here on this kick panel. I'm gonna do my best to get the camera in there for you and show you. If you can see it up there, we are looking for this white connector right over there. I'm gonna pull it out. Ba-boom. We're gonna get that and drop it down. Next up, we need to get off the OBD2 port, which sits right here. It's a very awkward one. You get your T20 Torx and you back out the two little Torx screws. These guys right here, screw in facing forward. With the port free, we need to bring it down. There's not a lot of play in the harness. We got to access the power port wire, which is a green, sometimes green white, green black. I use a little pick to kind of get this blue plastic piece that holds it all together out of the way. Pay attention, guys. This is where I poke a hole in my hand. It'd be really funny. Ooh, I almost did. Okay, freed that side. Okay, no holes in my hand. All right, with that out, we need to free this green wire. And then there's a little pin plastic piece here. So hard to see on camera. We're gonna pry that out of the way. And then we can free the green wire, which is our power wire to run all of this. Let's move to the next step. All right, my friends, we are almost there, but we've come to a portion of where I disagree with the official instructions. I'm gonna tell you why. So we've got the power for this whole module, which we need, ready to go, and it wants us to take this little splice pin and connect it into the green wire on the OBD2 port. You'll slide it in and out. It does not have any resistance. It kind of just sits in there. They want you to take some heat shrink, put it over both of them, and then rely on the heat shrink to keep that connection. I'm sure it works, but you know what I know really works is a crimp. Well, if I had a crimp, I'd show it to you. So what I want to do is cut the wire here, cut the wire on the OBD2 port, and put in a proper barrel crimp, and then we can heat shrink that and life will be good. It'll never come apart. We'll take this connection, we'll splice here, and we'll plug that into pin 16 on the OBD2. So essentially, it'll always have power. The power is going to come in through the green, hit this splice, power your OBD2, and then feed back and power the module. If you don't want to cut and splice, totally get it. Also, if you're struggling getting that green wire out, you can always cut and splice the green wire into this, and it'll achieve the same goal of constant power to OBD2 and constant power to the module. I'm gonna get the splice done. I'll show you what it looks like, and we'll get ready to wrap this up. Here's that splice I was talking about. And yes, you amazing observers from the internet, I am going to wrap that to protect any exposed metal. From there, we're gonna take this pin and slide it into the OBD2 port, position 16, replacing the green one, and then we'll put the little blue, whoops, sorry about that. We'll put the little blue locking piece back in place, screw all of that in, and we can move to the next step. We're almost done. Now that the struggle with the OBD2 is over, moving on to easier stuff. We need to get this ground in place. Just get a 10 mil, pop these off. Really, you can use any one you want. That one was close, so I grabbed it. Slide the ring on. Put the 10 mil ground back on. Just make sure your wire is pointed up. Now we can move on to the harness. We've got two of them to deal with. That is for the computer. We're gonna put that one in next so we don't have to struggle to reach up there, but you need to be extra careful with it. Here is the computer. It's located in the silver bag. And before you plug it in, disconnect the battery. It's in the instructions, and I'm double telling you, disconnect. We don't want to disturb the computer or brick the car for any crazy Land Rover reason. So we're gonna disconnect the battery, then we're gonna plug in our computer. There's a little adapter for the computer, making sure we disconnected the battery first. I did. And we'll just clip it in. We're gonna tuck this up and address it later. The instructions just say kind of lay it in there. I'm gonna get some zip ties and tie it down. We'll get to that next. Now we're gonna take our little adapter harness. Next, we're going to send this up and clip it in place where the white harness was. Little trick, pop this access panel down, you'll be able to see the computer module. I got some long zip ties, and I'm just gonna zip tie it to the wiring harness. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. That's the way I did it. Just zip tied it to the little harness there. That way when we're driving down the road, it won't rattle. All right, next up, pay attention, don't fast forward. There is a startup sequence that we need to do. But next up for the build, I put everything back together in the footwell of the driver's compartment. Let's get all that sorted. Then we'll put the battery back on and go through the startup sequence. All right, on to the startup sequence. You want to turn on the vehicle accessory. You don't want to start the vehicle. So we're just gonna hit the button, no foot on the brake, brings up all of my instrumentation, and we're gonna wait 15 seconds. While we do that, I just want to say thank you to everybody that orders their parts through Lucky8 Off Road, which makes these videos possible. So everybody that's ordered this kit, thank you very much. Everybody that orders parts from us, again, thank you very much. And for those that don't, shame, shame, shame. Okay, we've gone through the 15 seconds. Everything is good. Let's fire it up. Gonna go in and check our warnings. Low tire, know that. That is it. So we don't have any codes. This car is good to go. Let's take it for a spin. All right, driving the Terra Firma 2-inch lift coil conversion kit for LR4 Disco 4. My first thoughts are it's actually we're on a little bit of a bumpy road here and on street tires. It's not bouncy, it's not super stiff. They've dialed it in quite well just for the daily commute. We're gonna have to get this thing off-road and see how it does, but first impressions, good impression. Well done, guys. All right, my Rover friends, be sure to follow for more Rover content.